Welcome back to another remote viewing video. Today I'm going to be remote viewing what that whole QAnon movement was about. I myself knew a lot of people that were involved in that sort of community. I'm not like a person that like just jumps onto like any sort of community. I'm one that will just like receive the information myself and see what resonates, but I was never called particularly to the QAnon stuff. I think there was something. This is just I want to share like my personal take, I guess, before I remote view, just to like be as neutral as possible, I guess. But my personal take was there was obviously truths and let's just say maybe some non-truths mixed into one. So I guess my intention for today, which I'm going to set my intention now, is like, what was this QAnon movement about? I'm also gonna go over to the White Hats and just ask them, being like, hey, like, what type of say did you have in this movement? What was this movement supposed to do? So I guess first, what I'm gonna do is do like obviously my energetic protection, and then I'm just gonna set my intention to be led to Q. Like, I don't know like how that's gonna like go, but I think I'm going to just set my intention and like try to just remote view over to Q, whoever or whatever that was, the source. And then I'm going to cloak for more and more and more information. Because, yeah, okay, I feel like it's going to be a very like up in the air remote view. Once again, it's like Malaysia. I don't know where I'm going, so we're going to have to trust the process, set my intentions and all that. Before I start the process, I just wanted to let you guys know I have a predictions video for the second half of 2026, remote viewing predictions. I'm doing a part 2 of that video I did back in December. Some of those predictions have already come true, so let's see what I'm able to pick up on. Obviously, the second half of 2026, so that'll come out on June 15th. Then on the 20th, I'm going to be doing like a solstice energy update. And then starting in July is when things are going to pick back up again. I have like a lot more content that I'm going to plan on doing and putting out. I'm going to start those group offering events like the middle of July. And then I'm also going to be resuming one-on-one sessions like mid-July. So just stuff will be a little slower mid-June to mid-July, but things will be picking back up mid-July for sure. And oh, and before obviously we get into the remote view, if this video resonates, please give it a like, share, and subscribe to the channel, as that'll really help me obviously continue to get this information out there to as many people that it will be resonating with. Okay, so with that, I'm going to close my eyes, cut my cords, set my intentions, just do like an energetic shield around myself, and then I'm going to come back to you guys before I set my intention on going to the source of Q and trying to see what happens. So, okay, I'm going to surrender to the process. I'm going to start by doing this white shield around myself, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I just did just a white bubble energetic shield around me. I always do that before I remote view either an individual, a location. This meaning like I'm going to obviously touch base to see what's gone on with this movement. So just protecting myself just in case. You never know what can happen. And yeah, so with that, I'm just going to begin the process. I'm going to set my intention and try to go to the source of Q, and I'm going to see what happens. I will obviously be going back and forth, and let's just start from there. I guess that's like the best way to start. So I'm just going to go to Q if I can and see what comes forward. Okay, 1 second. Okay, okay, whoa. So I set my intention to go to the source. So, like, the source of Q, I guess. And, like, I was led to the Pleiadian High Council. I know, like, I don't even know how to explain this. So I was led to the Pleiadian High Council, and I was like, oh, like, I was just like, okay. So, because I set my intention to go to the source of Q, so I was like, what am I doing here? Like, um, anyway, so I basically was cloaking for information and asking around, like, okay, like, what, like, I'm trying to, I basically was like, I'm remote viewing to sort of get information on what this QAnon movement was about that happened basically on planet, because this is an off-planet organization, and which I've actually remote viewed there before, so I'm familiar with it. But also I was like, and I was led to you guys, are you able to kind of like steer me in the right direction? And one of the beings stepped forward. Like, they're all Pleiadian, like, all high vibe. Like, obviously they're trying to, you know, do good things, obviously, throughout the universe. So I was basically just like led to one of them, and I was like, so I was led here. I'm basically trying to collect information on what this QAnon movement was about. And the direct words, it was a female Pleiadian, and she basically like said, like, it was like she said to me, we it was almost like the words were, we tried getting the message through and it was unsuccessful. So that's where I left off. Like, I actually just had to come back and relay, we tried getting the message through and it was unsuccessful. So I'm going to go back and ask, what do you mean? So that's where we're going from here. Interesting. Okay. Okay. So she said we started the drops. So it was coming from the Pleiadian Security Council original. So this was like early on. They would get the intelligence, they would get the information, send that to the white hats, and it would be like these white hat hackers or these like, you know, subgroup of the white hats who was getting this direct intelligence on sort of what was going on was dropping the information. So it started off more natural. So this is just the beginning. It's obviously not how it sort of ended. But I need to go back and ask more questions. So I wanted to like get the process of sort of how it kind of began. So basically she was like, we tried getting the message through, it was unsuccessful. And then I was basically told that what they did was sent it to the white hats and they would like leak, like they would have the leaks. So now I need to go back and get even more information. I'm like really trying to focus on getting to the bottom of that piece. Okay. So the Pleiadian High Council, the Galactic Federation, and the White Hats were all kind of teaming together to get this information out. And it was coming through like, so it was originating like off-planet intelligence, and then it would get through the White Hats to like release. That's how it started. But over time, it was quickly taken over by the shadow government / reptilians on this planet to like distort these messages that were coming through. So it started off a lot of truth, a lot of like leading people in the right directions. But then it wasn't soon after these drops began that the shadow government / reptilians started hijacking these messages and started like turning it into almost like a psyop, it seems. Because it wasn't like what it was like taking partial truths of the original intelligence, which was obviously like intel from the beings and the groups behind and seeing what was going on this planet firsthand. They wanted to plant these seeds within us to spark and to wake up, but it was quickly hijacked. So I need to get more information on the hijacking. I'm going to go back and ask in particular, was it one question that I had to ask? It was like, so what was the reason to start this when it did? And I also want to ask, like, okay, so why was there such a pull to like, just from my understanding, like a lot of people who followed that, like believed that like Trump was the Q. So I want to clarify that because I'm like, how could, this is my human. So like, I just want to like share, like, how could an individual, I guess, be like a white hat? Because I haven't looked too much into him, and I'm trying to be as neutral as possible and not even engage, because I know that like, obviously his time's up and he's leaving soon. So like, what's the sense of me getting like over focused on that individual? But my thought process is like, how could he be the bringer of this great collapse? And I guess, yes, disrupting, but like he's also controlled by that reptilian being who's addicted to adrenochrome that's operating out of the Middle East, right? So I just don't understand how he could have been the Q. Like, I mean, you know, I think that's something I'm going to ask. Like, is he a white hat? Because my human, the way I'm looking at things, obviously, and like I really try not to do like a lot of research and all that because I try to keep my channel as pure as possible, but I think it's blatantly obvious. You do not need a remote viewer to see that that individual is taking orders from a reptilian being who is addicted to adrenochrome. So, yeah, so I need to ask about kind of what's going on there. And if he, like, was he actually originally, like, a messenger of this? Or, like, what was going on? Like, now I'm just kind of needing to get that information. Okay, so I'm going to go back, ask what the original intentions were and what Trump's tie to this movement was, and then we're going to get into the hijacking of it. Okay. So basically the intentions of this movement was, it was supposed to be like a conscious spiritual like awakening movement tied to like ascension to 5D. So it's like, we're going to give you some of this information and we want it to activate all these light workers and star seeds on this planet right now to then question, yeah, this darker stuff, but also be led to the light, and that we are all a part of the crash of the old system. So it was more like a frequency revolution, like at its core. Like, it was supposed to be like that. Like, it was supposed to be a movement where people got a little, like, obviously the information on what was going on, and then it led them to questioning, but also led them to ascending and doing like a lot of healing. And it was supposed to be like a 5D rebellion. Like, that's exactly what I was told. But that being said, the shadow government hijacked it. And I was like immediately shown in some instances of how it was hijacked. I'm deciding. Okay, so I guess I'm just going to go into them now. So they hijacked it by, it really, like, they started skewing some of the downloads. So a lot of it was based in truth, but then they would skew the downloads to like amplify division. And the shadow government also took a lot of members involved, put them through a lot of MK Ultra, and then like did a lot of false flags regarding like members of QAnon. So like that was shown to me to like, I guess, make it be like, oh, look at this, like, you know, it was just turned into a whole like psyop. Like, I don't even know how else to say it. Like, so the shadow government and reps took control of the downloads or the drops, like, and it seems like it wasn't even like pure for like more than like a year or two before it was hijacked. And then it was like full blown like shadow government control, but it also took a lot of, it was almost like they wanted to take a lot of people who were questioning the system to like pull them. It was almost like they wanted to pull them back into the system by like giving all their power away to it. It was a lot of the shadow government doing the drops at the end. Yeah, it was. It started off-planet intelligence. It was supposed to be a 5D rebellion, and then immediately got sucked into like a 3D trap. Yeah, and they are so fucking brilliant, aren't they? Isn't it so fucking brilliant what they could do? Like, they turn something, take the truth, and then spin it. Wild and not surprising, because that's its whole reality. So this is why, guys, it is not good to join cults and like unquestionable belief systems, because it's all just psyops. It's all just psyops, and it shows that Q at first had pure intention, and it was coming to us to practically like almost like awaken us in a sense, right? But it backfired. It was not, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, it wasn't like pure at the end. I just got so sidetracked because a fly just flew by me, and I like never have flies in my apartment. So I'm like, is this a sign? Like, I don't know. So I was just kind of like getting a little sidetracked there. So yes, started off pure, taken over very soon. Okay. And it was made into fear-based. It was like less like, okay, we have the power within us to like liberate ourselves from this, and more like cult-like. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is go back, and before I get into like the Trump part of things, which I'm like, ugh, I don't even like want to know, but like, I'm gonna ask, like, was he on the good side? I'm just gonna be straight up, because I'm not even gonna like have anything come forward to me. I'm just gonna go directly back to like the origins and ask about that, and then I'm gonna go over to the white hats and ask them, I guess, sort of on their end, what was kind of going on. So, and like what we could do about this now, because like I don't think as many people were awakened to everything going on. Like, I think that obviously there were a lot of people who turned to Q to begin to question, but then like ended up having their awakenings, which was good. That was the original plan, right? It wasn't, let's turn to Q and like give our fucking power away, and it turns out a reptilian is doing the drops, right? So and it turned out it was like that at the end. Like, it was literally just pure shadow government at the end, like controlling it. So let me go back and ask about, what was I gonna ask about? Yeah, I asked about the pure intention. So it had pure intentions. It was hijacked by the shadow government. And yeah, it just goes to show, guys, a lot of these movements that are like white hat backed or whatever, they start that way and then they're taken over. So it's important to know for sure. And I think there's plenty other circumstances, not even just with that type of movement and other things, that it's just very obvious it's been hijacked. So discernment. And that's a big reason too. Like, it just came to me that there was a lack of discernment by individuals involved, obviously still buying the information when some of the shadow government did step in and giving them that information. So I think, once again, this was supposed to be a movement towards questioning, but then awakening and not staying in the 3D. It's like, we'll give you the information about what's going on. We'll give you the information about like the Pizzagate stuff or whatever that was, which like, I think it was tied to QAnon, but like, I mean, that obviously was all like, that was just like a small piece of sort of what the elites were doing. And I don't even think Pizzagate brought up the reptilians, did it? I don't even think they did. I don't even know if like, was QAnon talking about the reptilians? I don't even know. I think it was just so hijacked, they didn't talk about the reptilians because maybe some reps were kind of behind it at the end. So I don't even know. Okay. So I'm going to go back and ask sort of like, I guess, this is the last kind of channel, like, I'm going to do with the Pleiadian High Council, asking them, like, I'm just going to ask them straightforward about, like, Trump and, like, what his involvement with this movement was, and if he's on what side is he on, which, this is probably going to bother a lot of people, me getting this type of information who are watching this. So just stay neutral, please. And whatever comes forward, that's just what's coming forward. And I'm going to trust that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so he is he is so I guess his contracts were to be obviously a disruptor and to bring like chaos to the old system, but it's almost like he has been taken over by the shadow government. And this was like, it was like, yeah. And I'm not even going to over elaborate. And then I was also just like told it just, the words that came through when I was asking was like, look at, I'm just planting a seed with you guys. Look at the individuals who he has recently gone after, and that'll basically show what sides he's on. So there are like white hat like figures who he like, it just shows he's not on the side of the white hats. Because there are actual white hats who he has gone over, like white hats meaning like souls who came here to literally actually help bring in a new system, who used to be around him but are not anymore. Okay. And yeah, I mean that being, like that reptilian being has like full leverage over him. Yeah. And you guys all know who I'm talking about if you've watched these other videos that I've done. Okay. Okay, so taken over by the shadow government. I'm just shocked. I mean, I'm not surprised because like I don't think anybody could be in that role if they don't have any type of shadow government tie or sign some sort of contracts. And I'm not going to go any further because once again, I'm looking like into the future and it's like, so what? Like it's an illusion anyway. But anyway, it was like they were having him push the Psy up. I know. This is just like, and it's like, it makes me wonder, which I don't even want to get the information on, but like, was he in on some of like the rituals? Like, was he in on this bullshit? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at this point. So just that to know. Okay. So at that level, it was like, it was like shadow intel. It was like shadow stuff coming through him to, and that's when like a lot of people thought he was the Q, when it was like he was brought into this based on sort of, I don't even know. Okay. So that's just what, so I wanted to just relay that. I just bluntly asked like, what side is he on? And it's the side of the shadow government. So, and once again, there are like, just look at some of the, just, there are some individuals, like he's distancing himself from anyone who's almost like a white hat. You know what I mean? It's like blatantly obvious the side that, like, if you're on the side of an adrenochrome addicted reptilian, I don't think that you are on the side of the white hats. You know what I mean? Who are actually like wanting some sort of like solution, right? Like there's no, like, yes, I'd say there maybe are still like one or two people around him that are more like white hat like, but it's like he has pushed most of them away. So if that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So currently not on the side of the white hats, like on the side of like the liberation of humanity. Like it's more like choosing a different side. Like it's, and I don't even want to sound like sides and be like 3D, but it's like choosing not high vibrational stuff. Let me just leave it at that. And I think it's blatantly obvious. So now I'm just going to remote view over to the white hats and just ask a couple questions about Q. And then I'm going to ask like just a couple things about like, I guess what can we do now? Right? Like we know there was a lot of truth and a lot of lies in that, or like, purposeful, deception, the information. We know that we are in this active window of ascension. Like, what is it going to take for, like, why were so many people turning to Q? Like, why weren't people turning within and awakening themselves to see the full picture, right? And I think I'm going to go over to the White Hats, the collective, and ask them directly, like, give me some information so I could share and put it out there on, like, from your perspective, like, what went wrong? What did you guys do on your end when it was taken over? And, like, what can almost, like, we as humanity do in 2026 now that, like, those days are over, in the sense of, like, all, like, the Q stuff. I don't know if it's still going on. I mean, like I said, I haven't really, like, followed. I was led to some of that information, but I was only led there because I was literally getting downloads of the information, and then I was, like, research. It was more like psychic downloads, and then I would be, like, researching it, and I'd find something that was Q related, but I was immediately like, something is weird with this. Like, not being said, like, the downloads I was getting was wrong. There was, like, a lot of truth within them, obviously, about, like, the darker stuff that was going on, but I was not vibing with, like, something felt off to me when everyone was almost like, Trump is the Q. And I was like, wait, hold on. Like, something just feels so off. Because then obviously it's obvious, like, the boss is a fucking reptilian, like, adrenochrome addicted reptilian. So I'm like, how is, like, it could not make any sense to me. So anyway, I'm going to go to the White Hats and just ask them a couple of things, and I'll get back to you guys, and then I'll close. So just give me a couple minutes. Okay. Yes. Very, very potent message from a member of the collective that I typically just remote view and talk to. Just remote view to their, honestly, like, a lot of the time, like, they are very aware of me, the White Hats, and I could just kind of remote view over that, like, consciousness and just, like, directly kind of just, like, ask questions then. And they also have, like, a North American, like, base, but they only kind of let in individuals or, like, remote viewers who they seem as, like, pure intentions. So no, I don't think, like, anyone can just go. I think a lot can go, but anyway, so they just know who I am, so I kind of, like, just go there. So I typically don't just, like, give the names. I don't, like, actually ask, like, I don't really refer to them as names. So that's why when I'm, like, talking to these individuals or these beings, like, it's so telepathic that you just know. It's like the names are an illusion. So anyway, I was just asking male being, who works at the collective, or who, like, anyway, he's like a hybrid. So anyway, I was just like, so what was this whole, like, from your lens, like, what was the Q thing about? I basically was like, I just want to get out some of this information from your lens, in a sense. And his perspective was, it's a lesson almost on us. Like, he said, like, it was almost like you guys had to be almost, I know it sounds shitty, but it's like we had to be misled to then come back and trust our own discernment, which there was a lot of not discernment in the QAnon movement, when it turns out they were just getting some, like, reptilian downloads of information. So it was more like a test of, like, turning within and getting that information from within, and that goes directly to the source, right? The High Council, who originated this movement that backfired and did not end well. I mean, maybe it planted a couple seeds, but where the whole cause of this movement was to lead a 5D like conscious shift on this planet, and it ended up being a 3D trap after the Shadow Gov took it over. So, you know, I think that that's an important message that was brought up to me. Like, it's almost a reflection on us. Like, are we just believing absolutely anything? Like, because I think discernment is so important. That's why I always say before each video, like, if it resonates, it's for you. If it doesn't resonate, leave. Because, like, the last thing I ever want to be is a fucking cult leader. Like, that lowers my frequency just thinking about it. Because it's like, I don't want anyone, like, outsourcing their power to me. Like, we're all, like, I believe we are all psychic. I believe we all could get the information. Like, it's just, do you want to use that ability? Do you want to get to know it or not? And I think that's just my take on that. But what I guess the High Council and the White Hats who I went to today, I didn't go to the GFL, but I just wanted to obviously get different perspectives, and I was just led, obviously, to receiving this information. So yeah, let me just, I guess, do I have anything else to ask the White Hats? I mean, I was just made clear, like, it was almost a reflection on us. Like, yes, obviously, you know, the shadow government probably shouldn't have taken, I mean, I think, it doesn't matter they took it over. We could all remote view, we could all channel, we could all get the accurate information or the real truths from within, and it's almost a reflection. It's almost like, a lesson for a lot who are in the movement and who were misguided, that true sovereignty comes from within. And I don't even think I need to go back to the White Hats, because I think that was made so clear to me just in that message. Like, it's literally just a reflection on us. And that makes me so grateful that I was not called to, like, be so enrooted in the movement. Like, I was researching something in 2020 and was led to like a forum where everyone was, and I was like, this is just, like, I'm not resonating with these individuals who are, like, on here. Like, I felt deep down like there was deeper meaning behind it, obviously with trafficking and with, like, the elites and all that, but, like, I think that was, like, it was supposed to be like that, but also, like, how can we consciously fight back and awaken, right? And, like, awaken spiritually and not in this 3D fear-based trap. So yeah, I think I'm just going to close this remote view right here. I don't really want to get any more information. Like, I feel complete. Like, I feel complete, and I think it's given me a lot of clarity on sort of, like, what this movement was about, and how, once again, guys, discernment is so important. It is so important, because, like, you never know, kind of, like, these psyops, like, they do give truths and a lot of lies, and they want to suck us in and then distract us, right? So sovereignty is so important. Energetic checks and balances are so important. And I think that's really just the overall message from this remote view. So yes, Q was taken over. Yes, it started pure, but it did not go the way that it should have went. And there were some figures involved that were not involved in the highest good. So yeah, I guess that's really all for today. So I will see you guys next in my predictions video that's coming out June 15th, and then my solstice energy update that is coming out on June 20th. And then stay tuned for obviously upcoming announcements as we get towards the middle of July.